in Iran. Let's end this thing quickly, but you know what? We'll come back to that. We'll come back to the main primaries as well. But let's get into the morning and the morning news talk. Good morning, New Hampshire. Good morning, all of New Hampshire, Maine, the region. Good morning, worldwide. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google. Play the Pulse of an H, and our poll question out of the gate this morning on this Wednesday morning at the Pulse of an H on X is, are you worried artificial intelligence, AI, will start gobbling up jobs in the next year? And a lot of people are concerned about that, but we'll see what you think. J-Dog will have results from our R&D paving poll on X. I think yesterday we're talking about the Maine Senate primary.
Will Maine's Graham Plattner be the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate? 50-50, yes, no.
Really? That's interesting.
Anything could happen in the next month or so.
We got a lot going on. Warmer weather continuing. Maybe some showers this afternoon, but into the upper 90s. 90s. Upper 80s today. Upper 80s today, near 90 maybe 86, 87. Going to feel pretty warm. And we'll take it. We'll take it. Stays on the warm side right through the end of the week. Paul Steinhauser joining us out of the gate live in the state of Maine. He's up in Bangor, Maine, where my first TV job back in Portland, Bangor days. Big, interesting primary. Paul Steinhauser reports nationally for Fox News Digital, as well as Good Morning New Hampshire, the Pulse of an Inch. Good morning, Steiny.
Hey, good morning, Jack, and you're absolutely right. There was so much attention on this primary because there wasn't a lot of drama. We knew Graham Plattner, the Democrat, was going to win the primary, but there was so much attention on this because of who he is, right? He's backed by Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and other progressives. He's pushing a populist agenda. But the key thing is all the controversies, the scandals, the tattoo, the stuff he said on Reddit, the sex, and we could go on for hours talking about that. Well, Jack, it seemed Democratic voters mostly didn't mind. He won big. He won about had about 70% of the vote, a little over 70% of the vote. They're still counting here. Remember, the governor, two-term Democratic governor, Janet Mills, was still on the ballot, even though she had dropped out of the race back earlier this spring. And here we go, Jack. This is going to be one of the biggest, most expensive, and probably most combustible races as Plattner now tries to take out Susan Collins, the longtime Republican senator up here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost 30 years.
He's going for a six. He's going for a six-year term. And this, along with our race in New Hampshire, as you well know, Jack, going to be one of the top races that decides whether the Republicans keep control of the Senate or not in the midterm elections.
Well, Paul, of course, we have a big one here, but in terms of the U.S. Senate. But I just have news for you real quickly. I really believe, and I think that people are missing the point, Graham Plattner could rob a bank in Lewiston, Maine, or Bangor, Brewer, Portland, and voters won't care. They are voting against Trump, and they see a longtime Republican sitting in that Senate seat, and they want to take over the Senate, and it's all about Trump. And you can say what you want, but they're overlooking everything. Plattner could go out and rob a bank, and they'd overlook it because they want a Democrat in that seat.
Yeah, you know what? That's a very valid point. This is things have gotten so partisan in this country. It's just every decade it gets worse and worse. And absolutely, Democrats want to win. They want to get back in power, and they want to take out Susan Collins in Maine. We'll see, Jack. This is going to be a big one. Hey, another thing, keep your eyes on that inflation report this morning.
Yeah.
Highest numbers in 3 years. That's going to be tough for any Republican on the ballot this November.
But do you think President Trump is as sensitive to this as he should be?
Listen, there's been a lot of criticism of this president from his own party that he's not spending enough attention on the economy, that he's talking to, he's got his eye more on what's going on in Iran and the White House ballroom and other stuff. It's a valid point, Jack.
All right. Thanks, Danny. Enjoy Bangor.
Take care. Yeah, you got it.
All right. I want to switch gears completely, and I want to thank our friends down at the FBI in Boston. They are a very proactive office, and I've been looking at a lot of their results that they get. And they do a super job down there. They really do. And Kristen's been keeping us in the loop. And they've done an interesting operation called Operation Riptide. Operation Riptide. Basically, the FBI in Boston was part of an international takedown. And we have an agent who's going to explain this. The first VPN service used by ransomware actors to compromise businesses worldwide. Hard catching these bad guys, but we are joined by one of the special agents down in Boston. And I want to introduce, and I thank him for being on, Special Agent Robert Baker joining us live. Good morning, New Hampshire, the pulse of an H with the FBI. Thank you, sir.
And of course, thank you for having me.
And thank you for what you do. Let me ask you, can you explain this in layman's terms, this case? Because it's out of the box, it's unusual, but this is the sign of the crimes of the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was an international takedown that occurred around May 20th and 21st. This was a large-scale international investigation in the First VPN service. And VPN is a type of service. Sometimes, if you've ever heard of a proxy service, it's a system that kind of disguises the true location of the user. And it's a thing that can provide a level of anonymity to its users. In this particular case, FirstVPN was being pretty widely used by ransomware actors and other cyber criminals. It was almost exclusively advertised on the dark web to cyber criminals.
It's interesting. First of all, how many years have you been with the FBI?
About 7.
Are you seeing an increase in these types of, I would call it, more technology related, complicated, sort of behind the curtain crimes?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, last year, the FBI received more than 1 million cybercrime complaints and recorded over $20 billion in losses last year, which was an increase of about 26% from the previous year.
Well, I know
absolutely.
Kristen has been on before, because I remember even in New Hampshire and Maine, you had the property title piracy going on, where basically someone who owns a second home in, say, North Carolina or Florida, and you're not there much, all of a sudden you turn around and someone's sort of stolen your title through, using technology, and then sold your property underneath without even knowing. Let's talk about a business owner. So if you're a business owner, special agent, if you're a business owner out there, and you look at these types of ransomware stuff that's been happening, what are some of the things you'd recommend for business owners to kind of guard against this? What are some of the warning signs, or are there any?
I think probably the biggest thing that we talk about is prevention and good cyber hygiene. It's kind of like eating your vegetables, unfortunately. There are a ton of resources out there. IC3.gov is a resource from the FBI side, CISA.
What is it? What is it called? What is it, sir?
Oh, IC3.gov.
IC3, the letter 3, the number 3.gov. Okay.
Correct. Yep. And that's the FBI's website. And you can report cybercrime there. The other agency that puts out a lot of guidance for really anyone that likes to read it is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. And you go to their website as well, and they have a lot of free resources to kind of guide you in how to protect yourself as well as your business.
So in this investigation that this Operation Riptide, how long has it been going on?
Well, so Operation Riptide is a push by the FBI in response to an executive order. So over the course of the next 60 days, you're going to be doing, targeted, and impactful operations against what we call cyber infrastructure and financial services, kind of the underpinnings of the cyber criminal world. And FirstVPN kind of falls in line with that as a cyber infrastructure service. So
you'll be basically going after the actual criminals, criminal actors, infrastructure, financial networks, all that in terms of cybercrime and fraud hitting businesses and the American people.
Absolutely. The intent is to increase the cost of doing business for those individuals and make it harder for them to move money, to use proxy services like this VPN service and other services that just underpin their criminal networks and enterprises. And
I think you were saying, Agent, that last year the FBI Americans reporting over $20 billion in losses to cybercrime. That's a 26%, almost 30% increase, single year increase. That's amazing. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I guess the 20 billion. The only thing I'll add is I imagine that's going to be an underreporting. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of cybercrime doesn't go reported,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would be my plug for IC3.gov. If you're the victim of a financial crime that's cyber enabled, or if you have anything like a ransomware attack or any type of cybercrime, please report it. It's important for us to know how the extent of the problem.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably twice as much as that. Special Agent Robert Baker, thank you so much for what you do and for joining us here. Good morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse of an H.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Again, FBI office in Boston has been very proactive and open with our show here, communicating a lot of these types of crimes of impacting us right here in New England. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google, play the Pulse of an H. So Portsmouth, New Hampshire, passing a budget, which, big surprise, raises taxes, property taxes, because they're spending more, not cutting enough. What about Manchester, New Hampshire? Manchester has a Republican mayor now, Jay Rouet, who succeeded former Democrat Joyce Craig. And a lot of the criticisms of the past Democrat mayor was property taxes were rising and the tax cap was being overridden or ignored. Well, the Republican-led Manchester Board of Mayor of Aldermen and the mayor approving a new budget for the state's largest city of Manchester, New Hampshire, that guess what? Overrides the property tax. Wow. Criticize the Democrat mayor for overriding the property tax cap, and then you pass a budget that overrides the property tax cap. You override the tax cap. Interesting. In the state's largest city. You know, you've seen Governor Kelly Ayotte in the state of New Hampshire really hold the line on any new taxes at all. And she wouldn't even look at the raising toll booths on out-of-state Easy Pass, not New Hampshire Easy Pass drivers, but out-of-state drivers. Raising toll booths, viewed it as like not going to raise any taxes, hold the line. I guess in Manchester, New Hampshire, Republican mayor or not, they don't want to hold the line. It's happening across the board. Too much spending, not enough cuts. Back on the Pulse of an H in a moment.
It's more than baseball. It's of New Hampshire.
All right, welcome back. And also, you can join us on YouTube if you want to watch live at the Pulse of an H. Everything with us is the Pulse of an H. I want to drill down, and no pun intended on the drill down line because it has to do with energy. I want to drill down on these on this inflation report because it's kind of hits the nail on the head. It really goes to the heart of the matter, and that is 4.2%. Over year in May, and largely due to energy prices going up. Not a big shocker, right? I mean, just drive around, look at the gas prices, look at but see, the problem is, and I do not really, in all due respect, I don't think the White House is as sensitive to this, and I just talked with Paul Steinhauser with Fox News on this, as they need to be. The war in Iran is not quick, and it's not over yet. And I'm not the president, the commander-in-chief, nor would I want to be, but we need to end this war, in my humble opinion, because the longer it goes, and I said this weeks ago, the more convoluted and protracted it gets, it drags down our economy here. And you could say it's worth it because of a nuclear threat, but take care of that. Show us the threat, take care of that. Right now, we are seeing the cost of the war in Iran with higher inflation, 4.2%. And it's largely driven from energy prices, but energy prices, and don't tell me they were higher during the Biden administration. Don't tell me inflation was higher during the Biden administration. I don't want to hear that. I don't think most people out there want to hear that, trying to pay bills in their households. It doesn't do much good when you point to the past when you're leading the present. If you are the boss, it should start and stop with you. Someone once said that. The buck stops here. So you're in charge. Stop blaming the past. You got inflation down when you came in. The Trump administration got inflation down quickly, closed the southwest border. Things are humming along, and then boom, not just Venezuela, but the war starting with Israel and Iran. And this was an administration that wasn't going to start wars in the Middle East. They were going to end them. I let the silence sink in because I know the president doesn't want to talk about that, doesn't want to be asked that, but that's a fact. And the problem is this president ran as someone who was going to end these long-term costly conflicts, wanted to get the American economy revving and humming and cranking. And this economy, I'm sorry to tell you, it's not about NVIDIA breaking an all-time high. It's about a family in Raymond, New Hampshire trying to pay their bills. It's about a family in Wisconsin trying to pay their bills. It's about a family in Ohio trying to pay their bills. And right now, everything is so damn expensive. And everything is so unaffordable that families that are working in the middle and paying taxes and everything's going up, they're having a hard time paying the bills. So it sounds good that NVIDIA and maybe some of the stocks on certain days hit all-time highs, but it's not helping them right now. They care more about paying their mortgage, their rent, buying groceries, filling up the family vehicle. And the problem with higher energy costs is it raises the cost of refrigeration, trucking, shipping, jet fuel, food, groceries, hospitality prices. Everything goes up. If it's costing more energy or using more energy to keep the air conditioners and the mini splits going as we get near mid to upper 80s today, or it goes towards electricity, everything is going up and nothing is coming down. And the problem is, for this administration, and if you don't care, you don't care. That's okay. It's up to you. I remember the George Bush Sr. coming out of the record high approval rating in his first term, and the economy started to go south, and we actually were going into a recession. And I remember as a young TV reporter from New Hampshire doing an Oval Office interview of the former president, Bush Sr., I asked the president, people are hurting in New Hampshire with the economy. The economy is it seems to be going in a recession. People are hurting. Are you aware of that, Mr. President? Do you care? It was the first time he started to talk about the economy and a likely recession. And of course, he did not get reelected. Bill Clinton got elected, but Donald Trump's not running again. But I got news for you. He's running indirectly this fall on the ballot. And if the Republicans want to hold the U.S. Senate and do well, in the midterms, we better address this economy. I said this weeks ago, and I let some time pass because I was hoping this war would be over by now, for the most part. Wars don't end that quickly, but I was hoping we would just secure, take out the uranium enrichment piece, get the hell out of here. There. But when you run and you get elected over Kamala Harris because people view you to be better for the economy, you're going to be better for them. You're going to be better for their own finances. I get news for you. Independent voters don't really have a political bone in their bodies. They vote on their preferences, their short-term likes, and their own personal well-being, financially speaking. I'm sorry to be crude. Most independent voters vote on one thing: their pocketbooks and wallets. And if they're doing better than they were a few years ago, they're going to vote that way or not vote against something. But right now, the way this is going, with inflation now, and that's what you railed against, we were going to lower inflation, and you did right away. The president and this administration lowered it down to 2 something, and now it's up to 4.2. It's more than doubled. And you know what? Energy prices driving it. That's because of one thing and one thing only, and that's the war in the Middle East. That's why inflation's higher. But it makes everything else higher when you go to the grocery store. I'm not going to repeat the list. So here's the deal. We need to address this and lower the cost of things for most people in the middle. It's that simple. It's the economy. It's the economy. It's the economy. Let me repeat it. It's the economy. It's the economy. It's the economy. It really is. And right now, it's the economy. Some commentary, 603-228-2080. We come back, John Decker. He'll be talking about the president saying Iran must pay after downing a helicopter. But how do we get out of this thing at this point? Do we even know? I thought we learned this in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq, but maybe not. Hey, Alexa, hey, Google, play the Pulse of an Age. And then Bob Jackman, La Valleys. We'll hear from our friends in the Manchester VA, our friends from New Hampshire Technical Institute as well, on bringing back a lot of the great community college stuff. Back in a moment.
News, Franklin College Studios. Now, back to Jack Heath on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Busy show for you this morning on this Wednesday morning, 9:34. Hot weather continue. Well, summer weather. It's not that. It's actually wonderful. It's beautiful. Mid upper 80s. Take it. Enjoy it. Maybe some maybe some showers this afternoon. I don't know if any thunder involved, but let's stay warm right through the week. So that's nice. Got a full show for you this morning, and our poll question up on X at the Pulse of an H. We're also on YouTube Live, the Pulse of an H. Are you worried AI, artificial intelligence, will start gobbling up more jobs over the next year? Maybe yours. Are you worried? Yes or no? We'll have results for you. J-Dog. John Decker, our own White House correspondent, coming up. Bob Jackman. LaValleys, also a lot going on with homes right now as we get into June. Here we are on Wednesday. By the way, reminder, Motorcycle Week getting underway, and you'll see more motorcycles coming in. But I believe John Decker, our White House correspondent, joining us. Good morning, Mr. John.
Hey, good morning, Jack. Hope you're doing well today.
Thank you. Well, the president said Iran has to pay for down in that helicopter. Central Command saying we hit some targets. This doesn't seem to be going towards an end of a war that I'm seeing from afar. Take it away, John.
Well, that's right. The Pentagon calls it a proportional response, and the president putting out a message on social media this morning that he essentially is fed up with Iran. So this idea of the ceasefire holding appears to be over, given what happened yesterday with this tit for tat taking place between the U.S. and Iran.
Well, again, it's complicated stuff. It is. It's the Middle East, and many presidents, administrations have got caught up in certain missions and goals and objectives, but the president's getting frustrated. And I think that's showing.
Well, I think that's right. Factor in these two things. First of all, the war began on February the 28th, over 4 months ago. That's number one. Number two, factor in the last time there were face-to-face negotiations involving the U.S. and Iran was on April 11th involving Vice President J.D. Vance. That's 2 months ago, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's the kind of criticism I'm hearing from lawmakers from both sides is that Iran appears to be just trying to string along the U.S. And string along this idea of negotiating for quite some time. In the meantime, they are not giving up their nuclear weapons program.
Well, guess what? They're not, how do I say this? They are stringing us along. I think they're liking that, and they're looking, they think they look good in that part of the hardliner Islamic world for taking on the big U.S., and they can't beat us. They can't end this thing, and we're looking like we're playing right into that. That's my opinion. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jack. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right. We have a lot going on, and Bob Jackman, our friend at LaValleys, on the home front. And LaValleys, I keep going by their locations. They are just about everywhere of convenience. And he's a big fan on safety and doing it right and using their team. And June, they're talking about a lot of different things. And under the Ask the Experts category, we're going to range from financing. Everything's so expensive right now. Windows, good time to do it. And their locations. Take it away, Bob.
All right, you're exactly right. This time of year, we get lucky. We do in-house financing just like most everybody. And for the month of June, it's 18 months, same as cash, instead of the typical 12 months, same as cash. So people that are looking to do a project and don't have the funds right now, maybe it's been eaten up by a little bit of the economy, just to go back 10 minutes in your show. But for whatever reason, you're going to have 18 months to settle whatever debt you get involved in. And think of it as financing a project. Don't go in there and try to buy $200 worth of stuff and get it financed for 18 months. Do it as a project.
Interesting. And that's especially, go ahead, but that's a good opportunity, especially if you're going to put in, like, for example, new windows, new sliders, new doors, or new garage or something, or garage door open, whatever, windows, roof, siding, all these things, flooring that you folks do. It's a great way to, make it less painful financially.
Yeah. And if you want a double win situation, a lot of people really like the Marvin window and door line, and they have some designs that, I talk about this all the time. You've been out of it for a few years, basically you know nothing. There are so many different things that are available. And they have a window line called Elevate and a door line, which is interior and exterior, called True Style. And both of them are on sale through June 26th.
Yeah.
So if you want to take 10% on those products and finance it, you can do both.
And, people, even though we're now looking more at air conditioning versus heat with temperatures now that we're into real summer weather. But then again, we know in the winter it's cold here. And we did this ourselves, getting new windows or a new slider, if a lot of people have these sliding doors that are 25, 30 years old. I will tell you firsthand, and Marvin's a great brand. You do notice a big difference on the efficiency. The cooler air and the hot weather stays in, and the noise, that's the other thing people don't realize. If you're in an area with noise, if you replace your windows, get new windows, the technology, the ease of cleaning, but the big sliders I'm talking about make a big difference on heat efficiency, cooling and heating, as well as noise.
You're touching on something that I didn't really think of, but drive around Lake Winnipesaukee, and the houses that are on the water, their windows and doors, of course, they're going to be facing the water. But go across the street, right around Governor's Island. Take a look at some of those homes, and think about what it's like at your own home when you open the window and how noisy it gets. And you're right, they do have a tremendous difference in their sound penetration, let's say. Not something people typically look at, but it is something that when you're done, you say, oh, yeah, and this is much better, too. And when you're talking about efficiency, that's really hard to quantify. Gas mileage in your car is an easy thing to quantify. The amount of oil you use, if you have oil heat, it's going to take you a year to quantify that. And then you got to go back and look at whether or not it was a warm winter or a cold winter. But it's just people still have the mindset, and I believe they should, of constant improvement.
Well, you got to keep up with it, Bob. You got to keep up with it, or it gets ahead of you. Hey, before we go, we got to have we're having fun tomorrow in Meredith, but I'll let you finish up the thought.
Okay. And we do a series of what we call contractor and customer barbecues, where we provide lunch and let you do a lunch and learn from the vendors that are there. Now, Meredith is a little unusual. Tomorrow, June 11th, from 11 to 3, they're going to have at least a dozen vendors there.
This is cool.
And these are people, even Eastern Propane will be there to talk about heating your home. But you get an opportunity to have a free lunch, and you get an opportunity to learn some stuff. Just ask the questions you need answered.
Yeah.
And this is going to repeat itself. We've talked about this a couple of times. Our Guilford yard is under an enormous renovation, and the yard and the storefront and the parking and the accessibility are all changed.
Yeah.
The store, the layout inside will come as quick as we can, but it's unbelievable. Yeah. And on Thursday, June 25th, now that's a couple of weeks away, from 11 to 2, Guilford is going to have just one of these barbecues again.
It's a great idea.
It's just a great take.
Well, it's fun. You go get something great to eat, and you can talk to these vendors all in one location for you. It's what gets better than that.
Right. You get free lunch, and you get to learn something, and there's no pressure to buy anything.
Hey, all right, Bob. Thank you. Bob Jackman, tomorrow in Meredith. Where's the location, Bob?
That's a good thing.
How about this?
They actually have an address, but you can't find it.
No, just do the old, just do the old La Valley's in Meredith. You can't miss it.
Yeah, if you're going down into the beach area in Meredith, you'll see an enormous 4x8 sign that says La Valley Building Supply.
Yep.
You'll turn left right there.
Good
and
stuff.
It's in back a little bit. You'll find it.
Good stuff. Thanks, Bob. Tomorrow, about a bunch of vendors and get some food. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, and have a great day.
All right. Speaking of the trades and all that, we're going to hear from our friends at New Hampshire Technical Institute in the next hour. Community college, it's just the way things are going, and they are a great value and opportunity. Speaking of like good businesses out there, so many wonderful independent business owners out there making a difference. And I got a buddy, James, who owns the 4 golf range in Lee, very easy to find after that Lee traffic circle. I just want to help out our businesses. He's looking for a wrought iron table. If you want to, like the old, speaking of LaValle, he's a great sponsor and partner out on the deck with chairs. He's just trying to get a food truck in there. And if you want to drop off used like outdoor furniture, if you get new furniture from LaValle's, which is a great time to do. He's looking for anything new. He likes metal, anything that's like wrought iron, drop it off. Hey, Alexa, Google play the Pulse of an H. Back in a moment.
107.7 WTPL. Jack Heath on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
We're going to be live. We're going to be live next week, next Thursday, I believe is the date, a week from tomorrow at the Manchester VA. And they're doing a big focus on 250. Believe it or not, a lot of people have not paying attention, but we're coming up to that big 250th anniversary. And Kevin Forrest, the director of the Manchester or the VA here, and Manchester VA as well, but VA, the main facility, but they have other locations and services across the state. Joining us to talk about the big 250. Good morning, Mr. Kevin.
Good morning, Jack. How are you this morning?
Doing okay.
Yes, so we have awesome event planned to celebrate our 250th anniversary here of our nation's founding. And so I want to welcome all veterans here that day on the 18th of June. And you as well will be here. It'll be great doing the show here from the Medical Center. It's been a little while since we've done that, but we're going to have the Veterans Benefits Administration folks here from the regional office, the Vet Center, all kinds of resources here to help veterans, those that use our services and those that are new to the facility. But we'll have claims clinics set up for the VBA side, certainly being able to answer all kinds of questions on disability claims, of which, there's a lot of movement in that area nationally. We've got certainly our healthcare enrollment and our toxic exposure screening and ID cards and the like. So we're happy to provide those resources to all of our veterans and do a little bit of celebrating. And I think we're going to put up a lot of our historical props and resources that we had for our 75th anniversary last year, and just make it a great event. So we're looking forward to it.
Well, it is a great event, and I don't want to say this and speak out of turn because we're going to have a lot of great guests there from your team, talking about everything from the toxic exposure to the new services to getting enrolled so people can be informed and educated. But, we'd encourage veterans to come by and say hello, right? We're going to be there live 9 to noon right out in front somewhere at Manchester VA. I love going there. I haven't seen you in too long. And, come by and say hi, right?
Absolutely. Yep. So, we'll have some refreshments there. Our famous public affairs officer tells me we've got a lot of red, white, and blue refreshments. So I guess those will be a surprise for everybody. But yeah, come on by and say hello, learn about new services, and just engage in good conversation.
Good stuff. Any other updates at this time, Kevin, just this time of year? And I know that's a big one next week. We'll be there live 9 to noon, 1 week from tomorrow on the Manchester VA. Good Morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse of Nature. Any other good updates?
We just continue to recruit great providers here. I was up in the North Country last week, and we've got our Conway Clinic up there, and getting a lot of veterans from the Carroll County area back into having their primary care provider up there, a great Dr. Fantas. And so if there's any Carroll County listeners out there today, we look forward to having them back in the clinic up there. It's a great team. But I think just lots of recruitment on my side, Jack, and just making sure we keep bringing great people into the organization.
Are you getting and what are some of the recruitment challenges and the recruitment areas? I know, for example, nursing, University of New Hampshire announced they're already packed and full for a lot of people. There's a demand for healthcare stuff, but what areas are you looking at?
We certainly, always recruit primary care providers, whether it's PAs, nurse practitioners, and physicians, but, nursing in a number of different areas. One of the strategic objectives we look at for actually in all of New England here is opening more of those long-term care beds up. So all the nursing staff and others that, that are needed to open more beds. So we'll look at that. And just, we still got our facilities team that keeps the building going, and all kinds of different administrative and clinical positions out there. We probably have, 60 or 70 different positions on USA Jobs, or in different stages of recruiting now. So we're still hiring.
Well, good stuff. And if people want to learn more about that, and we always say this, Kevin, it's great if you've been a veteran and served, or married to a veteran, or a veteran family, but you don't have to be to work at the VA, right?
No, certainly not. I mean, there are, veterans preference and other things for any federal position, but, I'd encourage anybody that wants to join the team here is to go out onto the USA Jobs website. If you just Google USA Jobs, and you can sort by facility, whether it's, Manchester or Conway or Tilton or wherever, and see what's available out there. And then, you can certainly call us here at the facility at our main number. And if you got other information, we'll get the right people with you to, educate people a little bit more about what's available.
And if you want to say hi and come by, if you've been going to the VA and you want to just pop in next Thursday, 9 to noon, we'll be there. Kevin will be there, and his team. We got some great people. I know Laurie, who does so much on your public information side, and we have some great team members joining us that day live. So people listening locally and worldwide can learn what you're doing. But if you want to pop by, The other thing I always say, Kevin, is if you're a caregiver or you're a spouse or a family member of a veteran, this is an opportunity to learn more of what's going on at the VA, or come by and say hi. Next Thursday, we'll be there live, not tomorrow, but a week from Thursday, tomorrow, live. Good Morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse of NH at the Manchester VA. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks so much, Jack. Look forward to seeing you.
All right. So I'm noticing all around me, I don't know, you must be too, especially if you live in one of these communities. I was talking to a buddy this morning who lives in Portsmouth. He's from there, born there, raised there. And things just keep going up and up and up. And, they keep passing budgets where they just ignore things. If a community has a property, or a tax cap, like Dover, Manchester, New Hampshire, the state's largest city, these city and town, cities, selectmen, aldermen seem to ignore that. They say that they got to just keep spending and raising property taxes because they just have to. What do you mean you just have to? You just have to. What does that mean? Why do you have to keep spending more when people are in an affordability crisis? Why do you just have to keep doing that? You've been doing it for years. Some of these communities, what was it? Durham, I noted last year, 16%, 2025. So we're going into 2026, 16% property tax increase in Dover. Durham, New Hampshire, 16%. Do you think many or any of your property taxpayers in Durham, New Hampshire had their net incomes go up in their households 16%? Anyone out there? Do you think that happened in Durham? You think that happened in a lot of these communities keep raising taxes, and you think people's income's going up that much? And what you're doing is you're pricing people out of their homes. I don't know if you knew that. And I hear from city and town planners, Jack, we hear you. They don't want to come on and talk about it online because they say they'll get a lot of, social media pushback or feedback but here's the deal. You don't need to keep doing it. And the people that show up and vote for it want more spending because there's never going to be enough money for them, never enough money for the local schools, and never enough money for the town and city because they just believe taxes are the way to nirvana. And I got news for you, they're not. You've already raised spending enough, so stop doing it. And in Manchester, New Hampshire, I got to tell you, I'm not impressed. Not impressed. And I don't even know the details. And you can sit here and tell me that Manchester Mayor Jay Rouet, Republican, rising star in the Republican Party, blasting past Democrat mayors for ignoring property, taxes and tax caps. And then you go ahead and approve a budget that ignores and blows through the tax cap. You can't say it and then do it. You can't criticize it and then do it. I'm sorry. Governor Ayotte, Kelly Ayotte, New Hampshire, has really held the line. She's holding the line in the last budget and this one. She will not raise taxes. She won't even raise the toll booths for out-of-state drivers. But these other towns, you just got to stop. And you know what you can do? You really can cut more. You can't just cut a little. You got to. Do you think the people who pay these damn property taxes have the luxury of not cutting in their own household? Do you think the people that are business owners have the luxury of not cutting their business expenses when the costs go higher than the profits? Of course not. People who run households, who pay your taxes and your salaries, they can't just, keep raising spending and their credit card limits. They got to find ways to cut. It's time that and I hear from people, it's the city employee health benefits, retirement pensions that keep going up and up and up. Well, do something about it. Talk about it. But find a way to stop pricing people out of their properties and homes. What a novel concept. You got to cut more. It's just a reality. Pulse of NH, back in a moment.